Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Good day, friends. I'm so excited to be here with you for another exciting episode of La Profesora's Word of the Week. I want to begin by offering my apologies to some of you who may have been waiting for the Word of the Week on last week, but I had to, you know how you have to take some moments to decompress, and so I went to soak in some sun, not feel bound, spend time with my family, and eat some good seafood, and just think about this word, Lord. Lord have mercy. This word. I actually had to receive a special dispensation to discuss this word from our own Apostle Brian Smith of FBCOTR, located in Cincinnati. That the headquarters is right here in Greenville, North Carolina, but he is overseeing that Cincinnati congregation, and we had to talk about this word, dwell on this word, because we don't usually get caught up in this kind of confusion. And considering this special circumstance, he benevolently consented with caution to allow me to address this particular word. This word is one that I absolutely know you have heard, and you probably have some ideas about what it actually means, or perhaps you may have thought that it meant one thing but it was used to discuss another. Nevertheless, we're going to go on and talk about it. Here we are. And I know you've peeked in on the life and times of certain celebrities and thought about it. And again, I wasn't going to do it, y'all, because it's none of my business. But then I started to receive these requests, and I still wasn't going to do it until I got a request from someone who really clearly needs to understand what this means. Yes, y'all. Roy and Garcia asked me about entanglement. Lord, it was awkward. However, because I don't want any opportunity for misinformation, and because he is my own dear child, I said, this is something that really I need to pursue some definition for. So come on with me. Our word for the week is entanglement. Entanglement, y'all. Entanglement. 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 Let that sink in your spirit, but don't let it sink too deep. To the point. Entanglement is a word made up of 3 parts, and so what I'm going to do for you is a constructed word part definition. Entanglement is made of 3 parts. Entanglement. It consists of a prefix in, which means put into or onto, go into or onto, cause to be. Don't be nasty. It also consists of a root word, tangle, which means to unite or knit together in intricate confusion. That's what Mr. Webster said. To involve so as to hamper, obstruct, or, I didn't even know this, embarrass. And finally, entanglement has a suffix, ment, which indicates action or process. That suffix changes the part of speech that the word belongs to. And so ment is actually a part of speech which makes a word that could be a verb actually be a noun, but y'all probably don't care about that. But I just wanted to let you know. Ment indicates action, a process, a place of a specified action, or a state or condition resulting from a specified action. Entanglement. So you have all of these word parts. And so you can put together a variety of definitions, but I wanted to pull out about 3 for your consideration. Number 1, entanglement is to put into a state of intricate confusion. Number 2, to cause to be involved in a state of embarrassment. Or number 3, to cause to be involved in a state of obstruction. That sounds about right in light of the current context. Certainly, I'm not here to judge. Sometimes a man and a woman have an understanding. I mean, that boy could have been, well, but that ain't none of my business. None of this really means anything without a little life application. So I'm excited to bring to La Profesora's interview couch, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Royan Benjamin Garcia. Greet him with a hand. Okay, everybody, we're back, and we have today, Mr. Royan Benjamin Garcia here. He is the one that set me on this path, and we're so glad to have you on the show. Can we get a little encouragement from our audience here? Yes, yes, yes. I'm working on getting, one of those machines. So, Royan asked me about entanglement. And so I'm just curious, Royan, why did this word interest you?
Because of this whole thing with said celebrities, it made me think, like, what does entanglement actually mean? And my thought was, who would it be better to ask than an English teacher? So that's why I went to you about entanglement.
You know what? I'm like honored that you asked me. Would you have asked just any of your English teachers, or was I special to you?
Well, you're my mom, so of course you are special to me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I carried you those 9 months. Yeah, you were right there. Praise the Lord. Look at God. He brought us from a mighty long way. Yes. Okay. So, I'm glad to have you on the show. And so, just in thinking about entanglements, and you heard the definition of entangle that I gave a little bit earlier, let's move past the celebrity connotation that we receive, or that we've kind of created in our minds regarding entanglements. And what do you see as other potential entanglements that possibly could crucially impact you or your friends, people of your age group or your generation? What are some of the entanglements that you think that maybe, life might kind of try to tempt you with, at this time in your life?
Well, if I had to say entanglements can be with objects, it can be with motivations. Technically, it can be with like friends and all this other stuff. So I would say some entanglements would be like drugs, Some entanglements. It could be good entanglements. It could be like sports. It could be even objects can be entangled. So I guess like you could even say like headphones would be entangled and all this other stuff. But I say entanglements in my life that try to come into my life will have to be stuff that I'm surrounded by, like drugs. Main is the main entanglement that is around me, and like alcohol and all this other stuff. If you get what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, you know, and that's really something to think about. I think it's interesting that you said that entanglements can be good. I actually think when you really just kind of break down that word and what that word entangle actually means, even though sometimes we call things entanglement, okay, I think entanglement comes when your perspective is dysfunctional. Does that make any sense? So like sports, for example. Sports are something that a lot of people your age and your build and your talent and all of that those are things that a lot of people do get into. But I think the entanglement, if we're going to look at entanglement, the entanglement comes when you lose perspective, when you place that thing above everything else. Yeah. And then it can create this entanglement, which is kind of an unhealthy response to something that you are drawn to. An unhealthy response to something that you're drawn to. Unhealthy in that you lose the correct perspective and you value it above all other things, and it can even result in those things actually being taken away from you. So, you know, that's what I think about when I think about entanglements. But certainly that is good food for thought, you know, in case there's anybody out there thinking, you know, I'm going to get entangled in this, you know. So that's just something interesting. And actually there's only really one thing that I can think of that perhaps we just really need to be addicted to. What do you think that is?
God.
How about that? How about that? Yes. Okay. So what are some good ways that you think you can utilize to avoid entanglement?
Probably just not being too caught up in something if you feel like it's gonna harm you, if that makes sense. If you feel like it'll ruin something in your life, or it might take your focus away from something, then you probably shouldn't be entangled with it, or you shouldn't be like pursuing it all the time.
Right.
Like, I just feel like it's good to do some things, but do it in moderation. Don't make that your priority focus for like everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And you know, you can even think about that in terms of not just like things you do, but like even like relationships. And I know that might kind of go back to what spurred your initial question, but you know, your relationships, you know, with anyone, you know, sometimes we can get so caught up in what people do and what people say, you know. We wind up drinking the Kool-Aid, all tangled up with a cup of purple Kool-Aid. You don't know about Jim Jones, do you? I'm gonna have to tell you about that. I'm gonna have to tell you. You're kind of young. So just to kind of recap my initial reflection, in which I talked about, I gave you some words that spoke to what entanglement or entangle actually means. But when we think about entanglement and how those things manifest in our life, we can think about what happens when you put the mint on entanglement. It takes the entangle to a noun, and it manifests in our lives in very solid ways, and it can result in some things that impact your school performance, your work life, your reputation, just about anything you want or desire in regards to your success. And entanglement can actually derail that and mess you up. When we think about the entanglement, we can think about it as being this intricate mass of confusion or web of confusion. We can think about it being an obstruction. It can keep us from what we want to get, and it can be an embarrassment. And all those things were mentioned in the initial definition of entanglement. So, Roy, what are you gonna do about entanglement? Family, what are you gonna do about entanglements? I say to you, all you saints of purity and non-judgment, what will you do about entanglement? I want to thank our guest, Roy Garcia, for his time and interest in this word. And as with all words, we're not taking them and using them to shame. We are taking them and using them to learn and apply in our own lives. Thank you again, Roy Garcia. Can we get the claps? Yay! Woo! Again, I'd like to thank Roy Garcia for sharing his newfound wisdom on this word. Can he get the claps? Can he get the claps? Can he get the claps? My clap machine. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all faces and races and genders and cases, indeed, children, soldiers of the Most High, I would offer you this scripture, as there is absolutely nothing new under the sun. And the Lord speaks on it all. From the Word English Bible, 2 Timothy 2:4, no soldier on duty, are you on duty, entangles himself or herself in the affairs of life, that he may please him who enrolled him or her as a soldier. Soldiers, do all you can to walk upright and stand lest you fall and find yourself in that sunken place. Entanglement, 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 entanglement. Let that sink in your spirit, then cast it down. Look up and live, friends, and be blessed.